This is episode number 27 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast with our special guest, Dayne Loyd. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. My name is Jeff Thornton, alongside my co-host, Michael Anders. Each week, we bring you an inspiring person or message related to our three pillars of success: manifestation, business, fitness, and nutrition. Our intent is to enrich, educate, and empower our audience to take action, control, and accountability for their decisions. Thank you for allowing us to join you on your journey. Now let's get started. We would like to thank our sponsor, FitAid. If you're serious about your performance and recovery, go with FitAid. FitAid is the perfect pre- and post-workout supplement product. If you're dragging pre-workout, FitAid contains natural ingredients to give you that boost and pick-me-up you need without the jittery effect. And if you're looking for recovery after your workout, FitAid has branched-chain amino acids or BCAAs, L-glutamine, L-arginine, vitamin C and D3, glucosamine, turmeric, CoQ10, and raw organic agave to accommodate the glycogen window and provide your body with a complete and clean recovery. Be sure to give them a try at lifeaidbevco.com, your local gym, or a grocery store near you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike Anders here. Welcome to episode 27 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast with my co-host Jeff Thornton, and our special guest today is Dayne Loyd out of Austin, Texas, repping TDL Fitness, right? And yes. Austin City Limits. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me family. Appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. How's everything going?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. Super humble. Do you want to hear what I have to say?
I can't believe that you have the following that you have and you've never been on a podcast before.
No, I've been asked and I was like, I don't have anything important to say. I just sound like an asshole. So
Well, we appreciate the F-bomb, and we appreciate nothing but authenticity, and we think that's what you bring to the table,
Absolutely.
No doubt. Yeah. So, I mean, there's always what we bring our guests on to talk about, and then there's what we end up talking about, and so that's it just seems to be a natural segue into the things that are ultimately important. But we really want to tap into kind of obviously where you come from in fitness, because you're a bodybuilder turned CrossFitter, and you play in both worlds currently.
Yeah.
And so do you still compete in bodybuilding, or have you kind of left that? Okay, you left.
I left that in the dust.
Okay, all right. I definitely want to talk about that evolution. But real quick, let's just talk about where you come from, your background in fitness, and where you got started, where your passion comes from, and what kind of your evolution to where you're at now.
Gosh, you got time?
Oh yeah, we got plenty.
I mean, it goes so far back into when I was a kid. Man, I have two older brothers, so let's just start there. They're 8 years older than me, so I was a big tomboy. I always went to all their football games, and I had no idea what was going on, but I was like their biggest fan. And then I always played sports, and then I had some rough stuff go on when I was 13, and I had to move with my dad, and went into high school in Georgetown. So I come from a small town of like 20 people in my class. And then I go to Georgetown, and there was like 400 people in my school. And I'm just this little country bumpkin who has this hardcore accent, and I look for the coolest kids to hang out with, which was a bad decision, but I did it. And I was a stud in softball, and so I was always in sports. And my dad worked a lot, and so I started hanging out with the cool kids, and I started partying too much. So my coach, Coach Vieira, always tried to get me out of being in trouble, but I was a punk. I was a straight punk kid, and my dad didn't want to deal with it, so I went to California on the border of Mexico and California, and I didn't have anything else but softball. Okay. So I played softball, and I ran track and I played volleyball, and that's pretty much, I just buried myself in it because I had nothing else, and I was angry, and I was mad at my parents, and I literally, that's all I did. And I actually had a scholarship and I didn't take it because I'm dumb. I don't want to say dumb, but they said, everyone always told me, softball was like my outlet. It was like my passion and my love. And they said, if you went to college for it, that's all you're going to do. It's going to be shoved down your throat. You're going to do it when you wake up, when you go to sleep. And by the time you usually get out of it, you hate it. And
yeah, true story.
And that's what everyone told me. If you go to college with the sport, you end up hating the sport. And that's just, it pretty much saved me, and I didn't want to ever hate it.
Okay.
So
I
didn't take the scholarship. And I moved in with my brother. And my first job, actually my first job was at Chili's, and I got fired for not knowing Spanish.
Okay.
Because everyone spoke Spanish. And so I worked at an MMA gym. And that was my first job, and of being around these fighters, and it was just so intriguing to me. It was just like, these guys.
You're okay.
Oh, it just like went really small. These guys, how do I make the screen? I'm computer illiterate. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. We can see
there.
you're on.
Okay. They get the shit beat out of them, and they're just loving it. And I was like, what in the mess? This is all, like, they're just drowning in passion of just fitness and fighting. And I'm 17 around this stuff, and I'm just eating it up. And they taught me to fight, and I started teaching kickboxing, and they started like walking me through how to train people and stuff. And I was just, it was everything to me. I was there when they opened. I was there when they closed. And then I met someone that was not good for my health, and I got back into the drugs and stuff, and it totally messed me up for a while. I came back home to Austin, and just went through a lot. I'm not going to break down my life story. And
Okay.
But what I always did was fitness. I always had that on the other side of me, and it always came naturally to me. And I always had that I knew how to box. So when I'd go to any gym and I put on my resume that I could box and hold mitts and fight, they were always like, oh, okay, let's, you bring something different to the table. So I can't even thank my brother enough for that literally got me a job everywhere. And finally I got the job of my dreams working for Camp Gladiator, teaching boxing and sports conditioning. And that job saved my entire life, because I was battling on making money, doing, selling drugs and whatever. And then I finally got this job that was going to pay me enough. And it was like, you know what? If I get caught selling, I'm going to friggin' prison. And so I quit everything, and I gave that addictive, personality that I had, and I gave it all to this job, and I poured everything into it. And I worked more than I can even explain, but it was never something I woke up and I was like, I hate going to work. So I've done that, and I grew, and Camp Gladiator gave me all these opportunities, and I met people, and I worked there for 3 years straight. And then my clientele grew. I started getting on social media, and I say it to this freaking day, everyone made fun of me for getting Instagram and being on it all the time. And I was like, it's going to blow up one day. Y'all just watch. This is just watch. And they were like, no, you're just a selfie whore. And I was like, watch. It's going to blow up. And then that Instagram has blew up my online training business. And then I was able to get out of Camp Gladiator. Now I'm running my own business out of a CrossFit gym. So a lot of people think I actually coach CrossFit, and I actually don't. I am a strength coach at a CrossFit gym, so I basically rent space.
Okay.
So I strength conditioning and being an athlete. I don't coach CrossFit. I just rent the space.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at now, and that's just, I'm 28 years old, and I've done it since I was 17.
That's what's up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's awesome to be able to say I've done one thing my entire life. It's awesome.
Well, it's, the best part about that is that your passion and your outlet are the same thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can, it's impossible to get tired of it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. I've never thought of it that way, but that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you obviously don't come from a quote unquote business background. You've turned your passion into business. So you're kind of like getting that School of Hard Knocks MBA. Are there any lessons in business that like kind of any walls that you ran into as far as like the building of your own personal brand and your business up to this?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, I don't come from any business background, and it was just, I constantly didn't know if like how, like when I first started, I was like, who am I to be followed? Like, why is someone going to follow me and listen to what I have to say? And it was just bothering me, and I had no idea how to do it or start, and like staying humble but making sure that you not look humble in a fake way, but just making sure you always look authentic and stuff. And it was just a struggle on what to post and who's gonna, is this worth posting? How should I word this? Whose toes am I gonna step on? And then all the behind the scenes stuff, building a freaking website. My Lord, it was. You get on there and they're like, it's super easy. It's, $10.99 through it and you'll have your own website. And I got on there and I was like, oh, okay, Sue, cool, easy. And it looked like shit. And I was like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And I would never come to this website. And so, finding the right people and then building your logo. Oh my gosh, forget it. Like it took me 3 years to pick out the stupid TDL symbol. Like It's just going person to person, and it's just money, and you have to save money, and it's just stuff you don't think about until you're doing it. It's just that was the hardest part, was branding. Not the actual like being who I am, but the actual like site of branding, website. What do I want to do? What do I want to offer? And what's going to actually put money back in my pocket. Right. So that was the hardest part for me, was like the behind the scenes stuff of website and branding and like, do I ever want to make shirts, blah blah blah. And it was just, I was just a girl on Instagram. It was like, this is okay, let's just see where this takes me.
Was the hardest part about building your social following, was it, I imagine there was a growth spurt when you're starting off. Was that a hard thing, or was there a point where things just took off, or was it just a continual gradual growth after?
Well, I like that question because I finally started to grow my Instagram, and a stupid ex-boyfriend hacked it and deleted it.
Oh,
I was
God.
So mad. I had like tears. I mean, like, people think like, oh, it's your Instagram, like, get over it. It's like, no, that's my business.
Yeah,
and like, I had those people are getting me clients and stuff, and I forgot. I mean, it's nothing to where I was at now. It was like I was finally getting into the thousands of followers, and I almost had tears in my eyes because there's no way I could retrieve it, and I had to start over. But once you learn it, it's not hard. And it's funny that so many people have asked me, like, did you buy your followers? Did you do this? What did you do? And it was just, I was extreme. The best thing I can always say is I was always consistent. I was consistent with posting what I was going to post, and I never made all my posts sound like I was selling something. It was literally like, this is what I'm doing today, and I would text, or I guess y'all could probably see, I write how I talk. I don't say, anything fake, or it's probably mostly misspelled, and I always have people under there like talking about my grammar because it's awful, but that's how I talk. So it's always been just super consistent. So no, it was never really hard to get followers, but it's never something that I was super adamant on, like making sure I hit a certain amount of followers. I just posted and just, hope for the best.
Right.
And it's grown to what it is. I mean, it's nothing like huge, but I never like hit a wall or anything.
That's really good.
That's dope. One of the messages that you're very adamant about spreading is the like breaking down that ideal that, you know, for women specifically, there's an ideal weight, because you're not a small girl, right? You know, because you're what, 5'9", 5'10"?
I'm 5'9.5" and about 165.
Right. And so you're one of the messages that you're spreading and is very consistent in your posting, you know, especially like the pictures of your toes and the number on the scale, is that your body is going to do what your body's going to do. And just breaking that belief system that number on your scale tells you everything about how fit or how you should feel about yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Does that
go ahead?
Does that come from being an athlete and just being able to perform? Because, you know, making that shift into bodybuilding, there's a lot of, you know, correlation that you can build in your own mind as to how you look versus how much you weigh. So how did you bypass that as a bodybuilder into what you're doing now?
It actually came from bodybuilding. Because I mean, I had the issue too when I was in high school and stuff. I always weighed so much more than all of my friends, and I was just like, I am a fat ass. Like, what is going on? Why do I weigh so much? And it was just always an issue. And yeah, I went through the whole body image thing of. It's so funny. I was actually telling my boyfriend the other day, we watched something, Angelina Jolie popped up, and I was like, that's so funny. Like, I used to want to look like that. I used to have pictures of like Angelina Jolie and Jennifer Aniston, and they're super skinny, and like that's what I would have everywhere, and like that was my goal, and I thought I needed to be 120 pounds. And if I was 120 pounds, I wouldn't be talking. I would literally be dying right now.
Right.
And there's just no way. And so in bodybuilding, they never picked weight for me to be at. Like, we want you at this weight. It was always measurements. Like my suit, when I put on my suit, the only thing that mattered was how my suit fit. So, I mean, I could walk on stage and it's funny, my last show, I weighed 162 on stage, and I'm 165 right now. Mm-hmm. So and I was going to make a post about it. It's just crazy of like, what water weight looks like and what muscle looks like. And it's just something that bodybuilding just broke down is like, you're going to build some freaking muscle, and no matter how much weight and water you can drop, you're going to weigh a good solid whatever weight you're supposed to be at. And that's where I realized when I stepped on stage, it's like, I could not be any leaner than I am right now, and I'm 162 pounds.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just, and I think that's where I learned that that's a message I want to relay. And same with clients and everything. They'll drop, their solid 6 pounds of like water weight from eating shit food. But then after they hit that, and they think that they've plateaued just because the scale hasn't moved. And
right.
They get discouraged and aggravated at me. And it's just like, just stay off the freaking scale. Like, rule number one, just stay off.
Yeah.
So
how long was your bodybuilding career? Like, in terms of how long did you do bodybuilding, and how many shows have you done?
I did bodybuilding for 3 years. I did 4 shows.
Okay.
So two bikini and 2 figure.
What'd you like more?
Haha, figure.
Yeah.
The second I stepped on bikini stage, they were just like, are you supposed to be in figure? Because my legs are just, there's nothing, I would have to take a knife to my leg to get the muscle off. And so
right.
when I got on stage for bikini, like every single judge was just like, too muscular,
right.
Legs are too muscular. It's just like, okay.
Not soft enough. Yeah.
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 They're like, and I was like, okay, so I would just have to quit eating to do bikini also. So, figure it is.
Right. Because I made that transition. I bodybuilt for 5 years and did 4 shows. And my whole thing when I was bodybuilding, you know, I never turned to needles or pills or any of that other shit, because as a 6 foot tall dude, you have to carry so much more mass to be competitive on stage. So I did 2 NPC shows and I did 2 natural shows, and I was like, I can only be competitive in the natural realm, because these 5'8" guys that are 200 pounds I look like a stick figure at 200 pounds compared to these dudes.
It's unreal what they look like now. They did a post, I forgot who it was, but it did like back in the day in Arnold's time of like bodybuilders, and then like now bodybuilders. I was just like, that is disgusting. Like
it's
the
out of
small
control.
waist ab thing is gone.
Because my whole thing was, I never wanted to, you know, my bodybuilding life was going to be short. I saw that at the very beginning, you know, but I never wanted to not look like an athlete. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the bodybuilders of today look like athletes. You're not, you know.
That all day long. Yes, they do not look like you don't like walk up a parking garage and they're like, like hard to breathe. And I'm like, why? You're not even an athlete. You're just heavy.
It's insane, because you go to Mr. Olympia. I ended up going to the expo this year, and these guys are humongous. I mean, but you said like they're just. They're almost. It's almost like it looks like a disability. They're so big. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not able to move.
You have a t-shirt on, you're like, I don't know if you're fat or that. You don't know, and it's like, why would you want to look like that? I don't know. I mean, to each their own. I will never say like that in a dick way, but it's just like, look like an athlete. You know, like you can move.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So with your transition into, you know, strength training and from bodybuilding, and even just getting your message out there on these different platforms like Instagram, what was the initial step where you sort of get out of your own way and start trusting that your word's valuable, to where you can start getting your message across at a larger platform? Because I feel a lot of times that a lot of people, we have a message that we want to send out, but we may think of something or a negative person where we say, oh, well, maybe this person's going to think this, or maybe why should I be looked at as a role model? What was the initial steps or that you continue to do to get out of your own way and continue to have such an impactful message?
Honestly, y'all probably have heard of her, but, you know, Chrissy Cagney.
K-May Cags, yeah.
So she, and I tell her this all the time, she was my number one and still is, like, inspiration of, I mean, and what I would, to answer your question, when she would post stuff and how it would inspire me, make me feel, and then I would go to the comments and I would just read of just like, that's fucking amazing that like you just changed someone's life by making one post. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what, maybe if I only have 20 likes and I did that for 2 people that post, like that's still one person that I impacted that day from a stupid Instagram post. So it's just like, why not do it? It doesn't hinder me. It doesn't hurt me.
Right.
And if I can impact, you know, one person that day, it's like, why would I choose not to do that? And then I'm sure, like, K-May, I'm sure her day one Instagram, she didn't have 3,000 followers listening to what she had to say, but she just kept it consistent until where she's at now is phenomenal. I just think what she's done with her life and everything is amazing.
And we just had Chloe Johnson, you know her. I'm sure.
Yes.
We just had her in the gym a couple of months ago when she was traveling back up to Black Iron Gym. So, that whole camp is super inspirational. We have one of our coaches, Caitlin. She did our vegan show a couple of weeks ago. And, part of her inspiration for the vegan thing is the transformation that Chrissy May has done with herself, her training, and her nutrition via veganism. So that's awesome that for as large a stage as you stand on now, that stems from, you know, your experience with Chrissy May. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. And what's so great, I will say this over and over again, her demeanor and like who has been has never faltered. She's never changed of like what she stands for. And like, yeah, she's turned vegan or whatever, but she's still her through her, the 3-5 years I've followed her. It's just, she's consistent. And it's just what you see is what you get. And so that's been the biggest inspiration to me.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So as we're talking about, you know, how powerful social media is in terms of getting your message out there, let's go back to how you got on our radar with your rants. What is your opinion, your feeling about where quote unquote fitness celebrities are in the social media space? Because I feel as if there's a lot of false prophets out there. People that just naturally look good or, you know, train really hard but don't know anything about what the fuck they're talking about. And the advice that they give, even though they have a certain aesthetic, is fucking bogus. So like how do you kind of circumvent those waters and, you know, delineate the people that are living the life and the people that are just kind of making a buck and trying to get Instagram famous?
Man. So there's, you know, you want to blame the person doing it, but you almost have to blame the people that are falling for it, you know? It's like, how someone has to be fueling them to be able to keep posting the dumbest crap I've ever seen. And it almost goes back to, I don't even know how they got people to even listen to them. But, you know, people are going to do whatever they want to do. But what was really aggravating me on that rant, I think it was these bodybuilders that did one bikini show, and now they're training competitors. I'm like, you're a veterinarian that did one show, and now you're going to take clients. Like, and all you use is your ass pictures from your bikini competition. And now you're a trainer. Now you're a coach. And you are wrecking these girls' metabolisms because you think they need to be on 900 calories for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just, it blows my mind. And it's not me being snobby or judgy. It's that they're literally taking people and mostly competitors and wrecking their metabolisms. Mm-hmm. Because coaches like me and whoever else, we get them, they finally figure it out, and then we get them when they are just wrecked and they haven't eaten more than 1,000 calories for almost 6 months. And it's just like, who told you to do that? Why did you do it? And so it's just sad. It's social media. It'll be everywhere. People that are constantly trying to sell stuff, that wears me out, because I will stop following you. If you make 5 posts in a row telling me that you're going to take off 20% off Savage booty shorts, I'm done. Like, okay, I get it. It's just, I don't know. People just use it as like a sales, and it's just not inspiring. It's just, you're trying to make a buck. Mm-hmm. You have 17 sponsors. Why?
Right. And that's the whole concept. I don't know are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk at all?
Mm-mm.
Well, his whole thing, he's basically a social media, he runs a media company that deals with social media. And his whole concept is you need to use social media in instance of where you're giving. So he goes by the metaphor jab, right hook. And right hook is the sell, and jab is the give. But
right.
Basically he's saying you almost want to get to a point in your business to where you're never throwing a right hook, to where you're just consistently giving information and giving value. And that in turn will bring you the business that you want. But, you know,
exactly.
you're being forthcoming.
That's so apparent. That's awesome. Yes, I've never heard of that analogy, but that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's when you see it on social media, you can really tell, like you're saying, the people who are just out there to help people and the ones who are out there just to get a buck or get ahead using that platform. Because now you see social media as such a powerful tool, because the people who didn't have that following, like you're not on the major networks, you're not, you know, branded by the huge corporations, you now have a voice to impact people on such a deeper level because you're actually disseminating your message in a true way. And I think that's what you're doing. I looked at your post. They're amazing from the quality of your pictures and from the content of your post. I think you're doing fantastic, and you're following that methodology, whether you know it or not, to a T.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That makes me feel good.
So what's next for you? So you're playing it. You play with CrossFit. but you don't coach CrossFit. Like where are you at with your personal fitness right now?
Oh, so many people ask me that so much because everyone's like, "Wait, I thought you were doing CrossFit." Um, I love both, and I wanted to be the different. Everyone said you can't do both. Now, a lot of people will say, "Well, you're not doing both because you're not competing in either one," and that's fine. Screw off. But I will. I mean, if I don't do bodybuilding because of the peak weeks and the actual show date, it's just very hard on your body of water depleting and all that stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
and and you have to give up a lot of strength because you were cutting.
Right.
So I can't work at my 80% and my 90% while I'm cutting. It's just stupid.
Right.
And then the comeback of you have to go back and you have to start putting that food back in your system, and it was like starting over. And I was so tired of starting over. Could I do a show again? Absolutely. Do I have the discipline? I can. Would I get on stage and probably get top 5? Probably, because I just know I could. But I'm really choosing not to. CrossFit. I haven't trained long enough to now. Could I do a local show or a local competition and stuff? Probably. I haven't got there yet. I only did it for 3 months. To be completely honest, I will probably eventually start doing competitions locally. But there's just when I was doing CrossFit, I hats off to every CrossFit athlete because I was waking up like I got hit by a truck every day. I was just like, how do people do this 2 to 3 times a day and not? I just never died. I don't know. I don't know if it was just me or whatever. But that CrossFit's hard. Like I will stand right here and say it is freaking hard. And the gymnastics for a 5'9", 165 to flip around on a bar and do bar muscle up and ring muscle ups is freaking hard.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all are amazing, like amazing human beings. And it's just hard, but I haven't done it. And it is a goal of mine. So I will end up, mark my words right now, in the next year, I will at least do 3 CrossFit competitions.
That's what's up. Okay.
But I love doing both. I love Olympic lifting. I love bodybuilding, and I love all the Metcons and stuff. And so why not do it all? So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I would venture to say, taking a step back from, whether or not you can do both, I would say that you can't train both at a competitive level and expect to do well because they're so different.
Yes.
And you touched on a really good point because I try to explain this stuff to people all the time, especially guys that are coming from that LA fitness environment into CrossFit, why I steer them away from doing both, especially the guys that have been like hardcore at one point and like trained for the stage. The nutritional intake is night and day between training for aesthetics and training for performance. Mm-hmm. And unless you have a lot of good genetics behind you, you can't eat like a bodybuilder and compete as a CrossFitter. No. You don't have the right macronutrient profile to support that.
Well, found that out real quick.
Yeah.
You and me both on that one.
I've seen some box owners that come from that bodybuilding world and saw profitability in CrossFit, and because of their knowledge in nutrition, they still look at it from a bodybuilding standpoint. So when they get these competitors, they have them eating like bodybuilders and expecting them to perform well at CrossFit. And it's like, you can do heavy shit with 1 to 3 minutes rest between sets for 2 to 12 reps. That's totally fucking different than going round and round and round 12 reps at a time at 70%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you're eating if you're on that 6 meal a day, white fish and brown rice diet, you know what I'm saying? That shit doesn't support CrossFit,
It sounds awful.
and honestly, that's what did it for me when I made the conversion, because I was anti CrossFit. I was a dude that hated CrossFit for, it was a lot of idiots training idiots in my mind. You had people that could do a lot of crazy stuff, but didn't know how to coach the crazy stuff. And then the stigma back then, I think it's getting better and better and better as time goes on, was that CrossFit's going to get you fucked up.
Right.
But what did it for me, when I did my last show, I got burnt out. I was done with bodybuilding. I would go in and I was on stage at 200 pounds at like 4% on Saturday, and then 215, 220 pounds on Tuesday. And it, like, my joints hurt. Everything was fucking uncomfortable, and then I would just go in, I would train my clients, and then I'd touch 2 dumbbells and I'd be like, man, fuck it, I'm going home.
It's true. That's rough.
No, it is. It's, I don't know. And how people are like, yeah, I've been bodybuilding for 11 years. I'm like, why? Why? And you're so right. You step on stage at a certain weight, and then you're 10 pounds heavier, and everything's swollen. And you're just like, feel just miserable. Yeah. And then you're how you think you look compared to how you look on stage, and it's kind of different for guys, I feel like, because girls will blow the fuck up after. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then you feel like you are just the most disgusting human being in the entire world for 3 months, and you won't even take off a hoodie. It can be summertime, and I'm like in a hoodie. I'm like, sorry.
That's great.
And it's just, that's why bodybuilding just jacks you up mentally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're always looking in the mirror, and that's such a pain in the ass, because you can't get out of your mind. You're always thinking, if I participate in XYZ activity, it's going to fuck me up for my show, even though your show's 6 months out, and it really doesn't even matter at that point, and it just really messes with the way you live your life. And the thing about bodybuilding is, versus CrossFit, you can be a high performer in CrossFit, maybe not necessarily a games athlete or anything like that, but you can do well in CrossFit and have a normal life. Whereas if you want to get on stage, the sun, the moon, and the stars all have to align. You become a hermit, and you can't have any life interruptions. No. To prepare for stage.
That's true.
One thing I will say about bodybuilding, though, is the only thing I can take from it is it taught me discipline, which is awesome when you go into any other sport or anything. Like, I know my discipline level is just top notch because of bodybuilding. So I'll give positive light to bodybuilding in that way.
You can definitely, some of the things that I think bodybuilding brings to the CrossFit game is you do have the ability to turn off those external influences and commit to the process. Mm-hmm. And I think that's beautiful. But the other thing that I think is awesome about bodybuilding, because you spend so much time like practicing posing and bringing out certain muscle groups and turning this on and not activating that, I think that plays a huge part in your ability to Metcon well, because you're so aware of what you're using and how you're using it.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah. It's true. Because coming from that bodybuilding background, because I started CrossFit 2 years ago now, because I come from the bodybuilding background as well after football. And I've noticed the transition was so much easier because I focused on the form rather than just getting the weight up, whether it's heavy weight, but everything was about being tight, staying compact, and then pulling the weight. And you see somebody doing just the traditional CrossFitters, what I call them, just their form, they may be deadlifting a lot of weight, but their form is shit, or they're about to put themselves on Hurt Street really quickly. And going with the discipline part, I sort of had a question for you along that line. What's your typical routine look like on a daily basis? Because, just to be the type of athlete and look the way you do, I imagine you have a strong regimen, a routine that you follow each and every day, and just to be where you are currently.
I don't have set days that I do fasted cardio. I think I've posted about it. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love waking up, having coffee, and going and sitting, even if it's just mall walking on the incline, Stairmaster, rowing or whatever. It's just very therapeutic for me. I put on my music, have my coffee. So I probably like 4 to 5 times a week I have fasted cardio, and then I come and I eat my first meal, which I still do eat like a typical bodybuilder. It's a little bit higher in fat than what it was before. I have that, and then I sit down for 2 hours. I work on my computer, and then I eat another meal for my pre-workout, and then I do my Olympic lifting or go to Gold's Gym. But I will work out, and then I always condition, because conditioning is my therapy. Like I love conditioning. I don't know why, because I think that's where you feel like you got you redline like it. I love it, and I think that's what keeps me my leaner state, because I condition every single, probably 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be, and I love it. I mean, I will go balls out till I'm throwing up. I will find someone, whoever's the best in shape at the gym, I will pick them out and make them condition against me.
Not with you, against you. You're not a competitor at all.
Friends right now, we were racing. I'm not so competitive. I'm always competitive.
Is your boyfriend also your training partner?
Sometimes.
Okay.
He hates going to Gold's, and I still love putting in my headphones and having a good just shoulder day.
Yeah.
And all the cables and stuff. Like when I was just CrossFitting, I missed that so much.
Yeah.
When I was just doing CrossFit, because I don't know, there's something therapeutic about bodybuilding and isolating just the one muscle, and it's just, I love that too. So when I go to Gold's, he's like, nah. But yeah. I beat him in conditioning. He's going to come out of here and slap me in a minute, but I have to find someone else to condition with, because I always beat him. Just kidding, but I'm not.
Now, as far as your conditioning specifically, do you have a coach, or is everything that you're doing right now for your fitness prescribed by you?
This is gonna sound so random. And I got to the point where I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So okay. I sit down 6 weeks out and I write out my own programming.
Okay. Right on.
How difficult is that when it comes to weak point training specifically? Because I know a lot of times we focus on our strengths. Are you aware that you have your weak points, or are you able to program that in? How is that?
Oh yeah, my weak point is gymnastics. I'm awful. So actually, when I do have stuff like that, I'll hit up someone that's just really good at gymnastics, or I use Colton, and we'll write out stuff for me to get better at. My running is really hard to push myself on, so I have to start timing my 400s and all that stuff, so I can make sure, and because it's really easy to be like, okay, kind of, I can just get into this pace. But no, I love the challenge. I love to be challenged, and if I'm good at everything, I'm not having as much fun. I mean, it's just not. I want to suck at it, and get better at it. That's what's fun to me. Is like my handstand push-ups, awful. So I actually just found that out yesterday. So I went into my programming and I started adding, EMOMs of handstand push-ups. And what's fun is just to watch in 6 weeks. It's like, okay, I could do 8 in 30 seconds, and now I can do 15. Like that. That's just so fun to me. That's awesome. So I'm pretty good at dialing in my weaknesses. When I start wanting to compete in CrossFit, I'm probably going to find a coach. So.
Sure.
That's
for
really
sure.
Cool.
I'm not that good.
Yeah. The reason I ask that question is because if you ever expect to perform at a high level, I've found both personally and from the outside looking in that when you're consistently doing your own programming, not that you necessarily play to your strengths all the time. You're not working on the stuff you need to work on as consistently as you probably should.
Right.
And you need that second set of eyes to really identify,
Oh, absolutely. Especially sprint workouts. I won't write those as much as like I'll do 20-minute Amraps, 25, 30 minutes because I'm good at those. When you yes. Coming from football and all that, I know y'all are really good at sprint workouts.
21, 15, 9 all day long.
Yeah. You will see one of those in my 6-week program. You'll be like, oh, there it is. Those are, I mean, that's hard to do by yourself too. Those suck.
Oh my God, the AMRAP ones are the ones that get me. I can do the sprints. For me, in those longer AMRAPs, like the thing that sucks the most is that when it's over, I don't care how great a shape you're in, that you could do more. Like, and that's the suck that makes it awesome. Is like, I could have moved a little bit faster. I could have done 5 more reps or whatever. And like it's just really challenging. Especially
next time you do one, I'll challenge you and you tell me how it went. So say it's a 25-minute AMRAP and you have 3 movements.
Okay.
So I want you to go at your 85% for your first. Say you're 80%, but you have to keep time of how long it took you to do that one round.
Yeah.
And then pace off that first round, and then tell me if you feel like you could have given more at the end.
Okay. All right.
So if there's like a 400-meter run, 9 deadlifts, 9 box jumps, 9 burpees, and then you ended at, say it was 245. Now you have to hit 245
every time.
3 minutes every round.
Right. Challenge accepted.
I'm already tired thinking about that one.
That sounded horrible.
And
I don't know if you have the same problem, but being 6 foot 200, burpees the ground is really far away, and it takes a lot to get off of it. Just saying, I hate burpees so fucking much.
Wall balls, burpees all day, and I can do them all day. It's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Cool.
Wall balls I get because you're like 3/4 of the way to the target.
I do it all the time just for fun, like as a warm up. I don't know why. Disgusting. I don't know.
It is disgusting.
I'm so sick.
I almost hate you for it, but I admire you at the same time.
Sick.
With your transition through your physical growth in yourself, how has that transitioned into helping your business, and the discipline along with creating your business? Because I know it's different when you're training yourself and your body, your needs. How are you able to cater that to your clientele and start building your base out from there and helping other people with your client base?
I feel like not every place, but I've been in a lot of different places in fitness. I'm not genetically gifted, except in my quads, but I'm not freakishly naturally strong. I'm not freakishly naturally lean. Mm-hmm. I've been not extremely overweight, but I've been overweight. I've been underweight. And I'm forever I've been so in tune with what I was doing and how I was doing it and why and what was working, what isn't working. I still have a spiral that I was writing in when I was 17. I looked at the other day of just like workouts and how I was feeling during it. I've always been that way. I'm super OCD about notes and stuff. And I think most of my clients are females. So when they send me their before picture and they're, 25 years old, 30 pounds overweight, it's all in their stomach and their legs, and again, there's no magic way that's going to work for everybody. Right. So, and I tell that every single person, this is trial and error. Mm-hmm. I start with what I know, and then if their body responds to it, great. If it doesn't, we have to try another route. Mm-hmm. But for most females around, that's the majority of your clientele is what I just said, is between 25 to 35. They're probably anywhere between 15 to 30 pounds overweight and they're lacking muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just apply what I've learned, what I've read, what I've tried with myself and my in-person clients. You just apply it to, I make them pretty much tell me their life. I need to know when you wake up, when you go to sleep, how much sleep do you get? What are you eating now? Why are you eating this? What do you do for a job? How stressed are you? Do you have kids? And all that stuff just plays into, and you just learn learn people and how experience, even someone's job can tell you a lot by why they look the way they look.
Right.
And so you can cater their workouts towards their job and what they need to do. And it's just been time, and I actually care. And so I really read into people, and I know, because I will not, even if I have people wanting to do online training, I will not take more than 30 people. Mm-hmm. So I won't take the other 20 people's money, and I'll either say you can wait for 6 weeks so I can take you, or it is what it is, because of I have to be able to give that much attention to everybody. So that's where I'm at, and it's been awesome. But I just am very attentive with people, and so I think that's how I apply to what they need, and then just self-taught reading. Bodybuilding freaking teach you so much. I learned more going through preps than I have in any ebook I've ever read. It was just bodybuilding. It's just crazy. Because you eat one thing and your entire body changes, and you're like, that is insane. Like, it's awesome though. But it's awesome. But that's where I learned a lot.
Because you've obviously crammed a shit ton of life into 28 years. How has your life path to this point helped you or potentially hurt you with everything that you've overcome in empathizing with your clients? Because I feel like that's where a lot of trainers, coaches miss the boat, is you hold yourself to such a high standard. You bring somebody brand new who hasn't been through what you've been through, and you hold them to that same standard right off the bat. And I feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
That's an awesome question. I've never been asked that. It's actually really hard. I have to talk to Colton about it a lot, of being like, because like you said, it seems so simple to me. Don't eat like a fucking asshole and you won't be fat. Like, just get up and go work out. And so when people say, to me, it's just excuses, and like I have to step back, and I can't expect someone to be able to do 2-a-days like I do, or, I have some clients that do. I can't expect everyone to do that. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I sometimes get on my Fitbot app and I have to sit back and like read stuff that they've sent me. And before I respond, I have to just sit back and just really think about what I'm going to say so I don't make anyone cry. It's very hard. And I have to just be understanding, and I have to come off in a way that's not going to make them discouraged, because I have done that a few times where I was super sassy and I came off too quick, and if anything, it probably made them not even want to work out even more. And so, and I had to come back and apologize and say, let's figure it out. And so you always, my job, I should be able on a resume put that I'm a therapist.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because I have to really understand, and I'm not the sweetest, most huggable teddy bear person, so I'm a tough lover. And it's funny when you become like my client, there's documents in Fitbot, and one of them is just like, what to expect. And I had to do this, and it's just like, I'm not your mom, I'm not your great grandma, like I'm your coach, and I'm stern, and I have high expectations. And so they read my expectations before coming in with me. But I have had to like soften my heart a little bit in that way of, okay, well, that's not working for you. Let's sit down. Let's look at your schedule. Let's try and make it work. And at the end of the day, they know if they're trying or not, and if they're lying to me or not, and if they don't want it, it's painfully obvious. I can't want it for them. So
do you now for those people that don't want it, and not to say they're beyond saving, but they're not ready right now, do you dump them, or do you ride out that 6 weeks with them and try and just get as much as you can into them as possible, and before you send them on their way? Like, what's your philosophy with your program that way?
I leave that up to them. I have an open on Fitbot. There's an open chat room. And because I have 30 plus people at one time, or during that 6 weeks or whatever, I write on there like, hey, I want you to update me. You have to send me photos every week. I need your measurements. I need how you feel, how you're sleeping, how you're not sleeping, your energy levels. And if they don't send that for 2 weeks, I send them a message, hey, I want to check in on you, blah, blah, blah. And if they just say, hey, I haven't done anything, I give them the option, like, I will deduct the price that I've put into this of your programming, and you can take this, or let's reevaluate. And so I always leave it up to them. Sometimes they'll pay me the up front, and then I never hear from them again. That happens more than you would ever know. It's crazy. They'll have all their resources, and I never hear from them again. So, wow. I mean, I'm not going to fly where they're at and be like, excuse me. So that's the only thing with online programming. It's just, this is as much contact as we can get. So,
right. Mm-hmm. Right.
If they don't want it, then they can go on their way.
Sure. So let me, we'll close out on this. I'm super interested because the responses we get from our guests are all so different across the board. I want to ask you 2 questions, and you can answer them on any plane, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever. But what's one thing that you do every single day that feeds you? Gets the engine going, gets the fire lit, and then what's something that you do that fuels you every single day, that keeps that momentum going, and just keeps you on track to where you're trying to go?
So I have a book that I've constantly written expectations for myself. And I guess you can say it's a journal. That sounds real girly of me. I have a journal. I've written different things of, how I was feeling, and it's just a reminder of like, don't get fucking comfortable. It's like, yeah, you're doing great. Yes, you have this. Yes, you have that. But like, is that all you want? And so I kind of made a post about this the other day. It's sitting down with myself, at least once a day, or usually when I'm doing fasted cardio or something, and I have notes in my phone of just remembering, like, what are you really trying to do? Like, what's your goal? Like, do you really just want those 12 people at your program at City Limits? Is that what you really want? Are you trying to grow your business online? Are you trying to make t-shirts? And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll spread my attention thin across lots of things, and it's a reminder of like, hone in on this one thing and make it fucking explode, and then let other things branch off. So it's a constant me sitting down and reading and making sure that I'm consistent with what I'm wanting. Because if it's like Monday I woke up wanting to make t-shirts, Tuesday I woke up wanting to build my program at City Limits, Wednesday I woke up wanting my online programming bigger, Thursday I want to be a veterinarian, Friday now I want to work at SeaWorld. It's like, okay, you need to get your shit together on what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So when it's constant, it's really been awesome. Someone challenged me one time, and this is something y'all could do too. It was really cool. Sit down and write, no strings attached, no limitations. What is your perfect day from when you wake up to when you go to sleep? And to write that out and to do it every 6 weeks. And like, your goal for your life should be to turn your life into that perfect day. So like, how can you do that? And so it's cool to watch like what your perfect day, how it kind of changes and evolves. And when it starts being consistent, and when it's actually like, okay, So my day is like, I've got my morning down to how I would want it. No, I mean, obviously if you're waking up and wanting to fly to Italy and then come back here and, you know, whatever, but it's like a normal, like your normal day of your perfect day.
Right.
And so that's something that I look at a lot too. It's just like the goal is, I mean, everyone gets so stagnant in a place of not being happy, and they just think that that's normal, of like only part of your day is like the happiest part of your day shouldn't be when you get to go home and watch Netflix. That should be the greatest part of your day. And so it's just constantly looking at how you can make your day your perfect day. And that's something I do a lot.
Okay.
So
awesome.
That's really good.
Writing shit down.
And then before we get out of here, where can the community support you, your company, anything you're doing, any initiatives or future plans? Where can we go to support you?
TaylorDayneLoyd.com.
1L.
It is professionally done now and doesn't look like shit when the first time I did it. So, TaylorDayneLoyd with 1L.com.
Nice. And then social media as well? What do we have there?
TDLFit_ATX.
Okay. And that's just on Instagram, or is that across all platforms?
That is just, I've never gotten on Twitter.
No.
I don't understand. Snapchat is the most confusing thing I've ever been on in my entire life. I don't even use the Instagram Snapchat. I don't know. Am I missing out on something? Do I need these things?
I saw your rant on the Instagram Snapchat. I thought it was hilarious. I feel like I'm talking to myself right now.
It's like, all it is to me is it's like you thought of something that you wanted to post, but it's not important enough to put on your Instagram. Like what? Why? Why just put it? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'm missing something.
It's more like the behind the scenes look at your life. Say you may not want to validate it in a post yet, but you could just say something like, you could say like, oh, okay, I just thought about this, came across my mind. Did you guys think about your perfect day to start your day out? You know. And you could just give them that little nugget of information, and just they could really consume that 10 seconds or 5 seconds.
But if it's good information, then it needs to be put on my Instagram so they can look at it again. Because it disappears.
You have to go with what works, right?
Keep doing the Instagram.
I
bro.
like the Instagram.
It's working.
It's working.
You
I'll just hold on to it.
Hold on to it, and you just make it run with it.
That's right. This is home. This is where you live. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I know it's been kind of chaotic trying to make this thing happen between our audio, the video, and your travel schedule. So we really appreciate you making all those concessions to make this happen. You have an extremely powerful message for the fitness community at large, but especially for women and the image that you portray. And, you know, because that's you, that's who you are, and it's authentic. So, you know, please keep doing what you do. And if there's anything that we can do on the back end to support any of your initiatives, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Time out. Has anyone ever told you that your voice sounds like Will Smith?
No.
I was like looking this way and not looking, and I could hear it, and I was like, "Oh my god."
He's turning red over here. He's turning red.
I'm a black dude blushing. So thanks. That's awesome. You know, for all the listeners out there, you know, as always, thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. Check out Taylor and everything that she's got going on. I know that you're dabbling with the clothing thing right now. You know, so support everything that she's got going on, because she's there for you as well. And we appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your journey, and thank you for letting us be a part of yours. Feed me, fuel me, guys. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
And that'll do it for today's episode with our special guest, Taylor Dayne Loyd. If you want to connect with Taylor, please go to the full show notes at feedmefuelme.com. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at feedmefuelme. We would love to hear from each and every one of you. We're excited to announce the Feed Me Fuel Me Summit on July 10th, 2017 here in Arizona. Our keynote speaker will be Forrest Lustos. If you haven't had a chance to hear Forrest's story, be sure to check out his episode number 19, Mastering the Superficial and Becoming Extraordinary. It's guaranteed to fire you up and make you take action. We'll be releasing event details in the coming weeks on the website and future episodes. We can't wait to meet you all in person. If you found this episode inspiring in any way, please rate, comment, share, and subscribe so we can continue on this journey together. Also, be sure to share it with your friends and family on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, or any other social platforms that you use. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today and allowing us to join you on your journey. We would love to hear your feedback on this episode, as well as guests and topics for future episodes. To end this episode, we would love to leave you with a quote by Thomas S. Monson. Our most significant opportunities will be found in times of greatest difficulty. Thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.